Hello and good afternoon, Art History 2720. Professor McCohen, classmates. My name is Gavin Russell. For my presentation, I signed up to present Donatello's St. Mark, the sculpture that he made in the early Renaissance. He was commissioned by the Linen Drapers Guild in the year 1411. He was commissioned to fill a niche in the Orson Michele Chapel in Florence, Italy, and his work, he finished the St. Mark sculpture in 1413. By way of subject matter, it's a little bit simple as far as subject matter goes in a complex sculpture for its time period. It's a sculpture of the Apostle St. Mark. He holds a Bible in one hand, and he's clothed. His clothing is very emphasized in this piece, partially because he was commissioned by the Linen Drapers Guild, and partially because of his ideas of bringing back the classical, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. This piece is also popular for the thoughtful look that is on St. Mark's face that Donatello wanted to portray. This piece is anything but typical for its time. Talking about the early Renaissance, we understand the change that happened from medieval styles and Gothic styles to more realistic styles and subject matter that was portrayed in that time period. And Donatello's kind of right in that changing of the guard from the Gothic idealized style to now the realistic, and he definitely brings that to light with this piece, the sculpture of St. Mark. He brings back classical contrapposto in an impressive way, in a way that hadn't been done since the classical era. The weight that you can see on the right leg and the slight bend in the knee in the left really gives that contortion of the body to where the viewer sees and can feel that and sense that there's a real body underneath all that clothing and drapery. The way that the drapery actually runs down the right leg is almost like a column from classical times, and so it kind of brings back that feel. His individualized face gives a human-to-human experience, and the viewer gets kind of like an interaction, as if this was a real person that they were experiencing right in front of them. And so that's also very innovative, moving away from the Gothic into the Renaissance. Knowing that this piece was to be placed in the outside of the Orson Michele Chapel in a niche, which was actually above eye level on the street, Donatello went ahead and made the sculpture in a way that the viewer could optimize its experience with the figure. He did that by elongating the face of the figure of St. Mark and elongating his hands and some of his body parts. And this helps the viewer to experience realistic interaction with St. Mark in this sculpture. The importance of this piece, when talking about the importance, we have to talk about the innovation, and why the innovation is important is because it kind of begins the ideas of breaking away from medieval and Gothic styles and promotes the change and progression in the artistic world, when many of the artists in those time periods, the medieval and Gothic stylistic artists, really wanted to kind of stay in their comfort zone, stay with those styles and not break out. And again, it brings back much of the classical, brings back those ideas from long ago, and shying away from those Gothic and styles and idealized styles. And that really makes this piece important. It's kind of the building block to break into the Renaissance as far as sculpture goes. And like I said, Donatello was right on that line where he could either sculpt in a medieval idealized style or be more realistic, as is so prevalent with the Renaissance. So that is my presentation on St. Mark. It was a innovative artwork that brought some of those ideas into the Renaissance, and some of those ideas were used by artists throughout the Renaissance and into the High Renaissance. Thank you very much.